Welcome back to the show. We now pivot to the Orleans Parish Civil District Court Domestic Relations Section Judges race. By coin toss selection, we will introduce you to the first candidate, also the incumbent in the race, the Honorable Bernadette D'Souza. Following Judge D'Souza, we will introduce you to her opponent, Attorney Lakeisha Jefferson. But first, a quick word about what happens in domestic relations law court. So, Orleans Civil District Court has 3 domestic relations court. This is DRS 1. All 3 handle the same types of cases, and all are known as family law courts, where domestic cases such as divorce, child custody, child support, also restraining orders related to domestic violence or protection of individuals, and or property and general community property disputes and other family law matters are heard. Our first guest, Bernadette D'Souza, received her Juris Doctor degree from Tulane University School of Law in 1992. Judge D'Souza was previously a practicing attorney in public interest law for over 18 years, many of them as a managing attorney of the Family Law and Domestic Violence Unit at Southeast Louisiana Legal Services. Judge D'Souza was also previously on this show discussing and explaining family court and what goes on there. By the way, if you have a case in family court, I encourage you to visit our website, johnredmannpoa.com, or find us on YouTube and learn so you can learn much about what to expect in these courts. There's some really helpful stuff in there. Well, thank you for being here today, Judge D'Souza. How about we get straight to the questions?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So, if the past is the best predictor of the future, how about you tell us about your past experience, especially in handling family law cases? What have you done in handling such cases in your court, and what are some achievements that you feel proud of that you think the voters should be aware of? And what can anyone in your court expect from you in that court?
Okay. I dedicated my legal career in family law and domestic violence over 18 years. It prepared me well to come into public service. So now that I am on the bench, I am very familiar with the issues that come before me. I know with the experience I have gained, I have the knowledge of the law, and I've hit the ground running since I've been elected as the first family court judge at Civil District Court. My great achievements are the self-help desk, which I spearheaded as a lawyer with the CDC judges. And now that I'm on the bench, I have taken charge of being in touch with Pro Bono Project that really provide the volunteers to help litigants that can't afford a lawyer to come before me. The other program is an on-site services for victims of domestic violence through the Family Justice Center. The third program that I do is through the Total Community Action. Mayor Cantrell appointed me on the board of TCA. They have this wonderful program called Opportunity Center. They come into my court on Child Support Enforcement Day and find out if there are parents that need to be employed so they can pay their child support for their children. So they do job training and they do job search so they're gainfully employed. The fourth program, which I feel really proud of, is I initiated the relinquishment of firearms in my court. After making a finding of domestic violence, I used to have the deputy go over to wherever the perpetrators reside to go and pick up the weapons for during the pendency of the protection order. They're not supposed to use it, and now it's become the law in Louisiana. So these are the 4 programs that I have implemented and have been working really hard. But above all, my experience, the compassion that I have for families gives me the opportunity to take the time and really listen to what the challenges that the families are coming before me to make a difference in their lives.
Well, thank you for that in-depth explanation of achievements that you're proud of. And let's get to the next question. What is the most pressing issue facing family court today?
The most pressing issue, of course, is that 65% of litigants come without a lawyer. With the self-help desk, while they do have the forms to file the petition, they still need some representation. And it is my hope in the future, through the Pro Bono Project, to see if we can develop a program where attorneys can then give pro bono services to our courts. The judges on the bench, we have judgments that have to be submitted timely. And if the judgments are not submitted timely, then we ask the lawyer to be assigned to the self-help desk to give some sort of help to people that can't afford a lawyer.
And you say pro bono, the Pro Bono Project, and pro bono. Pro bono is a fancy lawyer word that means services for free.
Free, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Next question. What is your vision for the future of family court in New Orleans? What changes, if any, would you advocate and why?
The changes that I would advocate is to continue the work. As last time I spoke to you about how I implemented mediation program. A lot of the cases that come before the court are very contentious. And I believe that in mediating some of these cases, you're giving the parties an opportunity to make a decision in the best interest of their children.
Now, some of our viewers might not have watched the program we did on using mediation in court. So you want to quickly explain what mediation is?
Mediation is actually you go before an attorney that is qualified mediator, and the two parties come to the table and discuss what the custody issues ought to be, and the mediator resolves it and prepares a mediated agreement, which is then submitted to the court in the form of a consent judgment that the parties have reached out of court.
And it's you being non-binding as opposed to arbitration.
That's correct.
So in other words, a lot of times it resolves a case, and it doesn't cost nearly what it would cost if you had two lawyers on each side fighting over it.
Litigating it, yes.
Okay. All right, next question. What do you believe sets you apart from the other candidate who is currently running for this same judgeship?
What sets me apart is my dedication and the experience that I have. Over 26 years, I started my career as a public interest lawyer. It prepared me well to be on the bench, and the fact that I was a law professor at Tulane teaching domestic violence and the law as it relates to family law cases. And so having developed that knowledge and experience and compassion for the families in handling cases at Southeast Louisiana Legal Services, where all my clients couldn't afford a lawyer, a private attorney. We represent them without free legal services were provided to them. And so I think that sets me apart because it has prepared me well to be in public service. And in my 9 years, I have truly hit the ground running, having had that knowledge and experience.
And one thing you said right at the very beginning, and I want to be sure our viewers caught it and understand it, you're the first, you're not the first judge at Civil District Court to handle domestic cases. You're the first permanently assigned judge, which is an important thing that has happened in our courts. 2 of the 3 domestic relations sections judges, they don't switch out to other sections.
No,
so if you're reelected, you're not going to be switched over to regular docket. You're going to stay in the domestic relations section.
Yeah.
Okay. We have time for another question, I believe. Would you please remind our viewers your ballot number and where they can find more information about you and your campaign platform?
Well, the viewers can always visit my website at www.BernadetteD'Souza.com, and I ask them to please vote for me, and my ballot number is 83.
Okay. Looks like we have time for, I think, one more question. in the short time we have remaining, is there anything in particular I didn't ask you about yet? Something that you feel you would like to share with the viewer, something tells them a little bit more about you, something that you think, I think I'd like them to know this about me, when they're trying to make up their mind about who the better candidate is, or why you might why you should continue to have the privilege of serving as a judge.
Okay. I am honored to be serving as the first family court judge, the permanent seat at Civil District Court. I came to this country as an immigrant, and I've been living in New Orleans for 42 years. I came as a young bride from India, having married my husband. And after I went to law school with 3 children and a husband. And after I graduated from Tulane Law School, I knew I wanted to be a public interest lawyer. I started my career at New Orleans Legal Assistance, which is now Southeast Louisiana Legal Services. And the work that I was doing there was so rewarding. I became so passionate. And if you recall, in domestic violence cases, there was a client of mine that was gunned down outside the courthouse in my presence. And I became so determined to teach that law at Tulane Law School to students, so there'll be a lot more lawyers that can go out and represent the victims of domestic violence. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this opportunity to come and speak about my platform and about the work I have been doing and wish to continue doing. Thank you.
Well, we're grateful to you for coming here and sharing your time and your words with us so people can get to know you. I am afraid, however, that we have simply run out of time for this segment. And at this time, I'm afraid we have to conclude this segment of the show. You are watching John Redmann, Power of Attorney. We will be right back after this break.